I just wanted to ask, if an Indigenous Studies course were to be taught in high school, do you think it should be incorporated with an overall Canadian history course or taught separately?
They do have Aboriginal or Indigenous studies in most of the high schools here in our school board, although they aren't necessarily taught by Indigenous people. It did start, a number of years ago. I like that it's a separate course so that the whole thing focuses on Indigenous, history, and current events as well. But I would like to see more of, the treaty education, which I'm hoping it will be soon, embedded within all subject matter. But I do like that it's an option for a history class in high school. Here anyway. Did you want to add? Yeah.
So this is an example of where we all have different perspectives, and that's good. So in my work with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and as the education lead at the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation, one of the things that I say encouraged because it sounds so much better than pushed, with ministries in every province and territory was the infusion, and not salt and pepper infusion, but context, to really have as a context in every subject area, Indigenous perspectives, Indigenous science. And so remember, because we're talking to all of you from all across the country, I use the term Indigenous, but remember that Indigenous isn't a culture. That's like saying you're white. That's not a culture. Are you German? Are you Polish? Are you Ukrainian? Are you English? Are you Scottish? So the territory, so substitute the names of the nations of the territories where you are. So for example, in Alberta, there's a curriculum rewrite happening right now in every grade from kindergarten to grade 12 in every subject area. They're starting with 6 subject areas to start with. And I think that when we think about from just more of a kind of a logistics, chronological, common sense perspective, it is impossible for anything to exist in this country that doesn't exist within the context of the First People. So if we're talking about approaches to science currently, and that doesn't mean there isn't great value to other sciences as well, but everything that exists in this country exists either because of the interference with Indigenous knowledge or in a combination with, so I mean really a lot of drugs and medications, if you trace that back, comes from plants that are identified and were used by Indigenous people long before, there was contact here in this particular case.